Hey there, how you doing? It's Profile here, and I usually make gameplay videos, but I do have another hobby. I actually do like bike riding. I guess BMX you would call it. Well, you don't call it that, but recently I just got the blind hub off a really good friend of mine, and I've been having problems with it. And I've looked online anywhere, and I haven't found any real help or anything like that. Just problems that people have had with the hub. Sorry, my hands are shaking using the phone. But the problem that everybody seems to be having is if you look real close. See this spring right here? Or is it? There's a spring. This spring tends to break and pop if you look at the very side how it's stretched. And there's a reason for that. And I'll explain to you why. So this pretty much, well, this video is pretty much to show you a how-to and I guess how to make the blind hub last longer and how to actually set it up, because I haven't found any videos on how to do this at all. Alright, to start off with, you are going to need a crescent wrench, a 1.5 millimeter Allen key, and a 6 millimeter Allen key. Now the 6 millimeter Allen key is to hold your axle in. This is to take off the cone nut, and this is pretty much for all the grub screws. Alright, now what you want to do is you want to put the Allen key in the hole of the axle, and you're going to take off this grub screw. But if you notice, I've actually unloosened it to make it a little easier. So I'm going to go ahead and take it apart and then show you what's up with it now. Alright, so I took off the cone nut, but the one thing I forgot to tell you is, you see that little hole, that's for the 1.5 grub screw. Make sure you unloosen that first before you take it off, or you are going to strip your axle, or you're worse, you're going to break the bolt. So make sure you unloosen the grub screw first, and then unloosen the cone nut. Alright, I'm going to do this with one hand, so it'll be a little hard. Alright, now that I have it taken apart, you want to take out the driver. Oh, this is actually super hard, okay? And then you want to take out the clutch mechanism with the spacer that holds the bushing for the driver. Okay, now the way the driver works, I have it all taken out. It runs on a bushing system. You know, you see it has no bearings inside. Pretty much that just runs on a bushing. It's a plastic, I guess, nylon bushing, or a hard type of plastic. And then you have the spacers that go between it. And then you also have the clutch disc. The clutch disc, this is what makes your coaster engage and also makes your coaster disengage. Now, when my friend got this hub, it was making this horrible sound, and this is pretty much the sound that I guess it sounds like wires being grinded. Now, what I've read from other people is that a lot of people having problems with the hub is mainly it sounds like it's grinding. Now, I wasn't sure about it when I got it from him. I said I had problems with it because the spring actually did break on it, and I tried using rubber bands, what people said worked, and I still had the same problems. But I found out why, and this is really dumb. So I'm going to show you how to put it back together the right way, and that way you can prolong your blind hub. Alright, now if you look on the side, where is it? See how it says R, and then you got the L. That's pretty much for left hand, right hand. Now, I'm in America, and Eclat is a German company. So for us, typically when we see R, we are going to put it this way inside. And of course for L, for left hand drive, we'll put it in this way. But it's actually labeled wrong. Well, I guess it isn't labeled wrong, but for us it would be. Okay, if you notice, each of these little grooves where my finger is, they have like a T shape. Now, in order for these paws to catch, these right here, they have to go up on them. And then when it free coasts, it has to be backwards. So that way it doesn't engage. Now, what I've noticed a lot of people have is you can still use the hub. Say if you put it left hand and then you have the driver right hand, it'll still engage, but when it disengages, once you crank back, it will engage and you will start have to pedal back. It's really weird, but you can still use it though. But it doesn't free coast like it should be. Now the reason for that is because it's not set right. Now also these grub screws is what holds, I guess we say the resistance or the tension of this clutch. Now, these grub screws aren't as important at first. I guess they would be later if you'd use this hub for a very long time. But right now, this is okay. So what you're going to first do with all this stuff is you're going to go and you're going to unloosen every grub screw. So I'm going to get to that real quick. Alright, so I'm back. I loosened all the grub screws. And you can see I have none of them in there. Now, remember, these little teeth, that's what engages what engages your driver. And this right here how it's squared, that's what stops your driver from free coasting. It doesn't let the paws go up. So if you have it the wrong way, it will still engage because this will lift up the paws, but when it goes backwards, it'll also lift up the paws as well. But not super like high, but it will still lift them up to engage. So what you want to do is you want to make sure it's the right way. So like I said, how this says right, I'm not going to go put it in like this, because if you notice, the paws aren't going to engage. So you want to go left hand. This is for right hand drive, okay? So you see how this little lift, that's going to engage it. Or the big finger right there. That's going to engage it. And that's going to stop it. So I'm going to put it where it says left hand. Alright, so I have the clutch in. Well, the clutch disc, and you can see where is it? That says left hand. But I am using right hand drive though, okay? But remember, flat, little shark tooth. That's what you want. Now, when you put it in, it doesn't have any grub screws in right now. And you want it to be freely. It has to move freely. And again, use grease. Use some really good grease. The grease that comes in the hub sort of looks like Vaseline. I wouldn't use it. Go ahead and wipe all that stuff off. Get some like red thermal bearing grease or green thermal bearing grease. Something really good. This one's really thick though. But I'd rather have the comfort of using a thick grease than a light grease, just for the fact that it feels smoother when you ride. Alright, now back to this. Now that it's moving freely, you want to go and you want to put this back in the hub, okay? And you would have two. You have one on top too as well. Alright, now I'm going to go and slide this back in. Now, this is real hard with one hand, alright? Alright, this is right hand drive, okay? Now if you notice, if you look at it, it will engage. And the paws will lift, see? Now when it goes back, this will stop the paws from lifting up. Remember that. Alright, now how to tighten this that way this stays, because remember, you need resistance in this. If this doesn't have any resistance, it's going to turn freely. And all the resistance from this clutch disc is actually from the cone bolt, well, the cone bolt, cone nut, whatever you want to call it. So with this cone nut, you have to make sure you tighten it really, really tight as you can on the driver itself. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten it all the way, right? Alright, so I already have it tightened down. Also, I did tighten this super tight, as much, well, pretty much as hard as I can as tightening the lock nut. And I also have the grub screw. Now be careful with the grub screw when you tighten it. You don't want to strip out the Allen inside of it, because then you're pretty much just going to mess up the grub screw. But you can replace these. They're like $1 at a Home Depot or any hardware store like that. But make sure that this cone nut is as tight as possible. Now that it is tight, now the clutch has some kind of resistance on it. Let me see if I can do this with one hand real quick. Alright, see how it lifts? See how it lifts now? Wait, let me move my hand away, that way it doesn't look like I'm doing it. Alright, now it lifts. But it also turns back freely, so when it disengages. But there is some resistance on it. It actually has a lot of resistance. See that? Now it lifts. And even though it's turning, as the paws lift, they will catch the inside of the hub, and that's what you want. It's just for it to go up and catch the hub. Now it can slip like there, but I'll show you how to fix that. But usually this is really good. This is okay. That's pretty much, you can actually put the hub in, well, put the axle and driver in your hub right now, and it will work fine. Now, also what people have is a problem with it, also the tension of these grub screws. Now the way this works is inside here, there's like a metal washer, or I guess like a cylinder cone, and then this holds it. Now when you tighten these grub screws, they clamp on inside the axle, and they make the axle, well, they make the driver not turn, and they give it a harder push, so it feels harder to turn it. Now you do not want to tighten these all the way. If you tighten them all the way, your axle will not turn, your driver will not turn, and also your rim will not turn because it has no play in it. Now, the best way to do this, and I actually found the instructions online out of luck. Eclat recommends you turn it 1/4 of a turn. Alright, one hand technique. Okay, usually what I do to make sure it's at least all of them are the same, since you're going to turn right into the grub screw, turn left real quick, give it a few turns, and then you want to line up the Allen key. So say the Allen key is right here, you're just going to go 1, 2, 1 full turn. That's a full turn. And then you can do each one a full turn. Alright? And then after you do each one, you want to go back, and you want to do it maybe I guess it would be what, 3/4 of a turn. That way they're all equal. So after each grub screw is turned one full turn on your Allen key, just turn it 3/4 of a turn, and do to each one. But do not over tighten it. You just want it to go down to where the grub screws are secure, not tightening on the actual axle itself. Now, the reason why these grub screws are here is so just in case this doesn't retain any tension inside, any resistance inside the hub, because it is metal. There's no bushing on it. There's no collar. Pretty much it's just metal on metal. Metal on metal do grind and do scrape over time. That's why I said use grease on this axle or anything that's metal on metal. So when metal tends to grind, of course, it will thin out the axle metal itself, and it will give it more play. So that's when, if this lock nut doesn't work, that's when you go and you tighten each one of these until it feels stiff. But you still have play. Remember, you want very, very little resistance. Just enough resistance to lift the paws up. Just to go up. As they go up, that catches the clutch. Alright? And after that, I'll get back to putting the hub together. Alright, so I have the clutch, the driver, and the cone nut all together. Like I said, it does have resistance on it where the paws do lift. Now, if you guys don't want to just go and turn these, you know, like I said, 3/4 of the way, just go ahead and do two full turns, having the Allen key upwards. So it'll be 1 and then 2, each of these bolts. And that's for this one. Well, if you have the original grub screws. Alright, so that's equal turn. Now that's back together. Let me just show you a quick tip. Okay, you see this spring? You see right there? Let me get the Allen key to point it. It's already getting torn. That's because I did have this backwards when I got it. So that's what causes that to tear. Now, since this is just metal, metal does rust. So what I would do is I would put grease all around here. Not too much, because remember, these paws will get stuck when they lift. You put grease. So just put a little light grease all the way around the spacer. Alright, so it's already all greased up. You see the side of the hub, that's pretty much as much grease as you need inside. I said very little, but not too much. And you can put grease right here around the actual, I guess, the teeth of the driver itself. I think the driver, I guess, I don't know what they would call. But you make sure you can put a little grease around here. And you're just going to slide the axle through. Push it in. And that's pretty much it. If you notice, like I said, right now it's disengaged, okay? But if you hold the axle, it engaged. And then, of course, disengaged. And engaged. That's because it's getting lifted up the paws. Now, if you put it in wrong, you'll hear a grinding noise. That's coming from the paws getting lifted backwards and they're grinding against the top. And that's what will mess up the spring. Now, if you have it right, see how it just spins freely? Doesn't make no noise and is dead silence. Alright, so maybe this would help you guys out, you know, if you do have the blind hub. I said I do know they discontinued this hub. I wish they'd bring it back, because this is a really, really good hub. You know, it's revolutionary. It doesn't use an actual clutch and driving bolt system like the old KHC styles do, that every single hub does. Even the Odyssey clutch, they all are the same. So hopefully they bring back this hub. Hopefully this helps out a lot of people that don't know how to fix it, that are stuck with this hub. And again, if you do like these videos, go ahead and leave a like down below. Leave a comment. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, because that always does helps out. And of course, I'll see you guys next time.
$1,000,000% on board with this.